Hey guys, how's it going? Jabber Gaming Jaws here. I wanted to come to you guys today and talk about Super Nintendo memories slash the very first time I ever watched Star Wars, Episode 4, A New Hope, to be exact, to be precise. Um, so I think I was around 9 or 10 at the time. Um, in totally unrelated events, Star Wars had kind of been re-released in the theaters. I remember seeing commercials for it on TV while my family was watching Frasier, I think it was. Um, and I remember thinking that Star Wars looked so cool, and the way that they were marketing it, it just looked amazing. And it was funny to me to learn that it wasn't a new movie, that it was a movie that actually my dad had watched when he was younger, like back in the 70s. And here I was in, I don't know, probably like 98. I would have to look back and see exactly what year it was, but I'm guessing I was around 10 years old at the time. Um, so that movie came out in the theaters, and a lot of my friends, of course, being like 10 years old, they were all going to see the movie, and a lot of them had seen it, and I was super, super jealous, and that just wasn't something, like I came from a big family. There were four of us kids that were all in a row, like 1 year apart each, and I had an older sister who was 6 years older than me, but that's beside the point. So there was a lot of us. Going to the movies would be an expensive outing. So it wasn't something that we did a whole lot, especially when I was that young. So I really wanted to see Star Wars though, especially because all my friends were telling me how cool it was and how amazing, and the commercials all looked super awesome. So that's all. That's all before what I'm going to tell you now. So, also being like 10 years old, um, there was this new family that moved to the neighborhood, and my mom somehow became friends with the mom of this family, and they got to talking, and of course, figured out that they both had sons around the same age. And so, classic being a little kid, like my mom just told me, okay, today you're going to play at so and so's house, and I think his name was Chris. And you're gonna walk down to the light, and you're gonna take a left, and you're gonna go down past the next road, and it's gonna be the yellow house on your right, and you're gonna knock on the door, tell them that you're Jeb, and tell them that you're there to see Chris. Just so I did that, and we hung out. Me and this kid I had never met before. He also had a brother who was about a year or two older, so all three of us hung out. Had a great time. We were doing just little stuff. We were playing in their room. I think they were showing me like their Hot Wheels toy car collection. Um, and we also played some Super Nintendo, which was amazing. So we played Mario Kart quite a bit. We did battling a lot, and basically like they were super good hosts and would just let me play against one of them, and they would kind of trade off. So that was super super nice experience for me. I just got to sit there and play tons and tons of Mario Kart and have a freaking blast. And I think they had some other games, but I was just so hooked on that one. I was totally mesmerized and just wanted to play the crap out of it. So we played that for a really long time. And it's not the very first time I ever played a Super Nintendo. My other friend Bubba had a Super Nintendo too. But it was just such a good experience. The Super Nintendo and I were like were like lovers that it never happened. It's like it needed to happen in a different life, I guess. And it's great now to own one and get to go back, but at the time it was just like a console that just spoke to me so much. But I wasn't able to get one on my own. I had a Genesis, that was great, loved it, played the shit out of that too. But man, there was something about the Super Nintendo to me. And so, anyways, once we finally had gotten our fill of playing the Super Nintendo, we were trying to figure out what to do next, and somehow we got talking about Star Wars, and the kid tells me, "Oh yeah, we have those movies. Do you want to watch them?" And I'm like, "What? You own Star Wars?" To me, it's like something. No, we're not gonna see it. It's in the movie theaters. And he pulls out these VHS tapes with this awesome artwork on the front, and it's just like, 10-year-old self to me, everything I'd heard about, I'm just going nuts, going crazy, and I'm like, holy shit, you know. And I watched Star Wars for the very first time, and I watched Episode 4, A New Hope, and I went home, and I remember the whole walk, run home. I was just on cloud nine. I was ecstatic. I had had one of the best days ever, just hanging out with somebody I didn't even know, as kids do, playing Super Nintendo and watching Star Wars for the very first time. And when I got home, I told all my siblings about it, and I had some friends over who, had also watched it, and we all played Star Wars in the backyard. It was such a good time. I ended up going back to their house multiple times, obviously, because I had a lot of fun there, and apparently they did too. So, got to do a whole lot more Super Nintendo playing, and we actually watched Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I watched both of those movies at those people's home, which is really cool. It wasn't the theater, but I think it's almost a little more cool and a little more special. And they knew the movies so well that they would point out things to me and like kind of help me along with the story. And even at the time, I remember them saying like, "Oh yeah, eventually they're gonna come out with these movies that are gonna be before the time of these movies," and that just like was like, "What?" About when Darth Vader was a kid, and it was so far before any other kids that I knew would have known anything about that. So yeah, I was just mind blown. Um, those kids actually had super good taste in things. A couple years later, we were still friends, and they were some of the first people to ever talk to me about Final Fantasy and SquareSoft RPGs, and they ended up getting a PlayStation, and yeah, we didn't hang out a whole lot, but whenever we saw each other, we would talk, stuff, and that's what they were into, and I knew just enough to be like, yeah, these guys know what's up. They know what's good. They've got the good stuff. Anything they're into is good shit. So I just wanted to give some early Super Nintendo / Star Wars memories that came to my mind today that I've just been thinking about and put a smile on my face. Hopefully they put a smile on your face as well. Do you have any early Super Nintendo or Star Wars or both or whatever memories that you would also like to share? Leave a comment or a video response. I'd love to hear about it. Anyways, guys, peace out. Later.